On the 2nd of April 2025, the Multimedia University of Kenya woke up to a nightmare. Somewhere high above the hostels, a water tank sat silently hiding a secret too heavy for words. What was inside the tank would be far more twisted and disturbing than anyone could have imagined. Inside was the lifeless body of Sylvia Kemunto. A daughter, a dreamer, a life full of promise, stolen in the cruelest way. But what exactly happened to Sylvia Kemunto? How did a life full of ambition spiral into such darkness? Why did the suspect allegedly give Sylvia's phone at a church as an offering? And why, after everything, did he use the very bag that concealed her body as a pillow? Could this be more than just a personal tragedy? Was this grief, madness, or something far more sinister? Who failed Sylvia and why? In this documentary, we walk through Sylvia's journey from her vibrant beginnings to her sudden disappearance to the horrifying discovery that left the nation in mourning.
She was a very good roommate. She was kind. Tulikuwa tunaishi vizuri.
Sylvia Kemunto was born on August 27, 2005 in Kisii County to her mother Teresa Ayaye. She began her education in 2009 at Word Hope Academy, where her brilliance began to shine. In 2020, after scoring for 25 marks in her KCPE exams, she joined Nyabururu Girls High School. She later scored an A- in her KCSE in 2023, and this led her to the Multimedia University of Kenya to study mathematics and computer science. To her mother, who is a regular mama mboga, she had made a promise that she would be the one to lift them out of struggle. She had watched her mom sacrifice everything and she vowed to give her a better life. Smart, quiet, determined, Sylvia was chasing that dream with everything she had. But that dream would be stolen far too soon. March 31st, 2025. Back in Kawangware, Sylvia's mother Teresa sent her some upkeep money using a church elder's phone. It was a routine act, but what followed was just anything but. Her calls to Sylvia went unanswered. Hours passed, then a full day, and the silence was deafening. Damned by the silence, Teresa traveled to Multimedia University hoping to find her daughter safe, but instead she was met with a chilling revelation. Her daughter had not been seen. Sylvia was missing. Teresa remembered something Sylvia had said not long ago, that there was a boy, a fellow student, who had been harassing her, a young man she did not love but who refused to take no for an answer. His name was Eric Mutinda. He too was a first-year student. Investigators would later learn that on the same day Sylvia vanished, he had entered her room. Sylvia had been living in Block B, room 19, and her roommate had left that day to attend church, leaving Sylvia behind. What happened inside that room remains unclear, but what is certain is that by evening, Sylvia was gone. The school confirmed her absence, and Teresa, clinging to hope, filed a missing person report at Langata police station. The days that followed were filled with fear, confusion, and frantic searching. But the truth was far more horrific than anyone dared imagine. With Sylvia missing and Eric identified as the last person seen with her, suspicion quickly turned his way. But then came something even more disturbing. An eyewitness reported seeing Eric struggling with a suitcase allegedly Sylvia's. He was moving it from her room into his. That same exact suitcase is believed to have been concealing Sylvia's body. Later that night, around 10 p.m., Eric's roommate returned to their room in Block E. He noticed the unfamiliar bag, and Eric reportedly was trying to use it as a pillow.
Nikapata the guy with the suitcase anajaribu kuilalia on the top of the head, hapo kwa head kama pillowcase.
It did not work, so he placed it beside him. He slept next to it, next to the weight of a horrifying secret. By morning, Eric was gone, so was the bag. That suitcase and everything it might have held had vanished. At the center of it all was Eric Mutinda, a suspect whose actions were growing more bizarre, more unsettling, and far harder to explain. Was this premeditated? Was he trying to cover up a murder? Or was there something even darker at play? With a missing person report now filed, police launched their investigation, racing against time. The first lead, Sylvia Kemunto's phone. Tracing her call records and last known signal, investigators confirmed it that Sylvia's phone had remained within the university's compound. At around 4 p.m. that day, her phone was switched off completely. No message, no calls, and no trace of Sylvia. But something was not adding up. She had not left the compound, yet she had vanished. Wednesday, April 2nd, 3 days since Sylvia Kemunto's disappeared without a trace. A foul smell had begun to seep from the upper floors of Block E, one that couldn't be ignored any longer. By afternoon, the search team followed the stench all the way to the rooftop of the boys' hostel. There, hidden in plain sight, was a sealed water tank, tied shut with a wire, weighed down with a heavy stone. Inside the tank was the decomposing body of Sylvia Kemunto. The sealing was deliberate, meant to contain the smell, but even that could not mask the horror for long. It took over 2 hours to retrieve her remains. Her body was then transferred to the city mortuary, a brutal end to a life filled with promise. In April 3rd, 2025, less than 24 hours after the discovery, the net closed in. Eric Mutinda, the main suspect, surrendered himself at Capitol Hill Police Station, where detectives began the grim task of piecing together what happened. Eric was detained for 21 days as police sought to uncover the full extent of his alleged actions. Investigators believe that after a disagreement, Eric may have murdered Sylvia Kemunto and hidden her body in the rooftop tank to delay discovery. It was also discovered that Eric had allegedly taken Sylvia's phone, removed the SIM cards, and presented it as an offering at a local church. Was this an attempt at redemption, a twisted ritual, or was something deeper and far more disturbing at play? At Montezuma Funeral Home in Nairobi, government pathologist Dr. Johansen Oduor conducted the autopsy that would reveal the horrifying final moments of Sylvia Kemunto's life. The cause of death, strangulation. But it was not just that. Sylvia had suffered multiple injuries, blunt force trauma to her head, upper and lower limbs, a clear sign that she fought back.
Body found that Sylvia had multiple injuries which were caused by blunt objects. There were injuries on the head and on the limbs, upper and lower limbs.
Her body showed signs of cyanosis, the bluish discoloration indicating a lack of oxygen. She had been overpowered, silenced, and murdered. It wasn't quick, it wasn't clean, it was violent and deeply personal. As Sylvia's body lay cold in the morgue, her family's grief transformed into a burning cry for justice.
Mtoto akiuawa aruhusu kwa auawe, hakuna kupiga kelele, si alikuwa anapiga kelele hapo karibu, hakuna mwenye alikuwa anasikia.
Led by lawyer Danstan Omari, the family did not mince words. They alleged that Eric Mutinda did not act alone and demanded investigations extended beyond just one suspect.
It is humanly not possible that one person could have carried a body of a girl who was around 55 to 60 kgs.
They also directed serious accusations at Multimedia University of Kenya, claiming that the institution had failed to protect Sylvia.
What is the role of the university in protecting girls who are in the dormitories or the hostels that are owned by the university?
This was no longer just about murder. It was about accountability and ensuring that what happened to Sylvia Kemunto would not happen to another girl ever again. Days after the tragic discovery, the Multimedia University fraternity gathered not as students or staff, but as mourners. In the heart of the campus, they held a memorial to honor the life of Sylvia Kemunto. Tears flowed freely, so did anger, pain, and unanswered questions. They spoke of a girl who had walked their halls with quiet brilliance and a system that had failed to protect her. It wasn't just a memorial, it was a reckoning. On a quiet morning in Kisii County, the earth opened to receive a daughter, a sister, a promise unfulfilled. Sylvia Kemunto was laid to rest just days after her dreams were silenced in the most brutal way. The funeral was marked with grief so deep it could not be spoken. Her mother Teresa stood, heartbroken, before the coffin of a girl who had once promised to change their life. Schoolmates from Nyabururu Girls and Multimedia University joined hundreds who came to pay their last respects. But even in this farewell, the air was heavy, not just with sorrow but with rage. A community asked, how did it come to this, and how many more Sylvias must we bury before the system wakes up? Sylvia's journey ended in the red soil of her childhood home, but the fight for justice has only just begun. On April 29, 2025, Eric Mutinda, the 19-year-old suspect, appeared before Justice Diana Kavenza at the Kibera Law Courts.
You murdered Sylvia Kemunto Ayaye. Is it true or not true? Not true.
Emotions ran high during the arraignment as Sylvia's mother broke down in tears upon seeing the accused in court. Mutinda's lawyer argued for his client's release on bail, stating that he's just an 19-year-old university student and is not a flight risk. Justice Kavenza denied bail, ordering that Mutinda be held at Nairobi Remand Prison and be taken to Mbagathi Hospital for psychiatric evaluation.
Someone has lost a life, and they are saying it is you who caused that offense. So the court will move very, very slowly, notwithstanding your age, right? Because justice has to balance. There is you on this side, there is a mother on this side. So you must stop crying and just be strong. That is how we work here. It's like a hospital. There are those who are living, others are dying. That's how justice works.
The court scheduled the next mention of the case for May 29, 2025, pending the submission of a probation officer's report and the results of the mental assessment. We will continue to provide updates on this case as new information becomes available.